Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wind Down Friday. Today, our special guest is Mark Pinto, CEO of Dukosi. Hi, Mark. How is going?
Hi, Maurizio. Nice to be here.
Nice to meet you. Thanks a lot for being here. Thank you. Appreciated your time. So, where are
Pleasure.
you located, Mark?
Well, for today, I'm in Menlo Park, California, near not too far from Facebook, and we're about to get hit by a big storm. So everyone's getting ready for a lot of rain. But
So,
I'm
Mark.
based with Dukosi. I'm based in Edinburgh, Scotland.
Okay, good, great. So, Mark, you are a technology industry executive who, with the diverse, innovative organizations in semiconductors, communications, renewable energy. So, your journey has diverse industries. So, how has this variety shaped your leadership style?
In a number of ways, but I think maybe more impactful. I'll talk a little bit about that maybe later. But I think my leadership style is a lot of it came from where I started, my first job, which was at Bell Laboratories. I had the great fortune of you know, being at Bell Laboratories while it was still in AT&T and then became Lucent and still, was the premier institution that it was known for. In fact, my office was right below Shockley's lab, where the transistor was invented. And the 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 quality of people that worked for the passion around innovation, science in some people, but engineering innovation, technical innovation was great. The people were tremendous. All collaborations all over the world. So I think that's where a lot of what I did and what I've done since then was really founded. But yeah, I also think that uh, the diversity, it's something that I enjoy, but I think it's also um, helps in any one particular job to have that perspective of applications upstream, downstream, is a positive thing. But for me, it's enjoyable. I particularly like to be uh, working on things that are innovative, that can have an impact, and that are close to, the end customers and really can affect the market. And so um, uh, it's you know it's something that I think it's also good for one's career, obviously, because you never can tell where things will go.
So you have several engineering and business awards. So can you share a moment, a project that you find particularly rewarding in your career?
Yeah, I think all of them come down to some moment when you've proven that the innovation that you've worked on really did what you said it was going to do and had an impact. I can think of a few things, I guess. One, I started out in semiconductor modeling, semiconductor device simulation. That was my thesis in Stanford, and a lot of people in the industry used the program or a derivative of the program that I helped develop there. And that, kind of the dream for a simulation person is not just to be able to model what people measure, but to predict things they haven't seen, right? You got a model. Okay, the first thing you got to do is make sure it agrees with experimental data. But now you have this model which should be predictive, that should tell you maybe I should try this that people haven't tried before. And I've had many experiences in my career with that where it led to new understanding, which led to a new device structure, which we wouldn't have thought of through the science and through the very solid engineering. Um, the same thing in business. My last before Dukosi, I was at a startup, a wireless startup. Um, and, being able to tell the customer, through beamforming, we're going to deliver, increased capacity in your network of X, let's say 3X, and then going there even under the hardest of circumstances, and then showing them why. Maybe my favorite moment with that was, we're going into a network, obviously, and there's an incumbent who's already there. Not that they're building the same product, but we show that, hey, if you use this radio, you can get a 2.5X or 3X improvement in capacity. The incumbent didn't believe it, and they wanted to re-baseline because they thought something must have changed. There's no way they could have gotten 3X, and they re-baselined it, and it turns out that because we had AI on and things were learning, we actually did better. The baseline was worse, and our result was actually better than what we reported. That was a moment, in the startup, everyone's like, yeah, stick it to the big company. So, but it's those moments when you've done the science, you think it's solid, you have the data you're confident in. Yeah, you can still have things you didn't expect hit you in the field, but then you see it and you see it, the reality of it, and you see the customers happy. Those are the best moments. And for me, all of that comes from something that's innovative, right? Something that's new and different that makes an impact on the business, but on society.
So now you are currently the CEO of Dukosi. So the goal is to improve the performance, safety, and efficiency of battery systems. So the goal
Yep.
is to enable a more sustainable battery value chain. So we know that the battery technology is important for the widespread adoption of electric vehicles. Maybe the most important one, but there are a lot of topics around electric vehicle industry. So in your view, what are the key challenges and opportunities in
Sure.
advancing battery technology with the goal to meet the growing demands of the automotive industry?
Yeah. Well, I think you touched on quite a few of them. I would say maybe you could split them into two broad categories. One would be the performance, the cost, the reliability, but also the safety of current battery systems and improving those. Maybe with the exception of the safety item, the other things are very common situations that, and again, my other things I've worked on, whether it's chips or solar or displays, is you had to improve performance and lower cost per unit, lower cost per watt, lower cost per kilowatt hour, whatever it was. And that's something that the tech industry has been good at. Sometimes it turns out sometimes it's just learning curve, the so-called learning curve, that more people focus on it and little improvements keep getting made. I mean, I look at the case, if you watch the solar cell industry, who would have thought that conventional silicon solar cells could get to the kind of efficiency and cost they're at now? If you go back to when there was kind of this the kind of breakthrough that in solar and investments, there were all these different materials and whatever, but look at what most of the industry is still silicon, and look at how much it's improved. Doesn't mean that it's the same silicon technology. It's all part of that learning curve. And I think the same is true of a lot of the things in batteries. It's the more people focus on it, the more innovations happen, big and small, that help push that technology forward into lower costs and higher performance. And I think Dukosi in that regard is one of those kind of innovations where it allows you to to use the battery better because we can, we put the chip on the cell. We have a communications protocol that allows us to get that information out synchronously without wire connections that lead to reliability failures and cost and weight. And by doing that, you can know, for instance, on the case of reliability and safety, we can tell individual batteries, what the temperature is, not just a group of them. And you can do it very quickly and very low latency and do it synchronously across the pack. So you have a better handle on what's going on in that battery. You can use it to improve the performance, by balancing cells better. But as I said, safety and quality are a big part of it as well. So yeah, I think we have a unique capability, very innovative, that we think we can bring to help on all of those items. Again, safety, reliability, the performance, and the cost, all of those things. So that's one. The second one I think you also touched on, which I would put, second category, is the whole thing around sustainability.
Yep.
Is what can we do about that, and recycling, second life. There also, what we're working on, we think can bring a contribution where we are monitoring the cells actively, all the time. By the way, using the cell power itself, the power we use for our chip is less than the leakage of the battery. So we're monitoring the battery, but we have onboard embedded memory and we store it. So at any point someone wants to look at this cell, if it has a Dukosi chip on it, you can see the history of how many times the battery went over a certain temperature, how many times it was charged at an accelerated rate. And then you have more than just, when it was made and where it was made. You know more about that battery, and you can use that for a number of different purposes. In fact, it's kind of funny. We even had requests and customers have brought us into discussions with insurance companies and freight companies where they can use that information, and if they, if it's trustworthy, say, okay, you can ship a different way. You can, you don't need as much insurance because we know more about that battery than we could if there was no provenance to it. So I would say those are the two big things from the battery industry's point of view. Obviously, there's a number of other aspects about material sourcing and politics and so forth. But I think those things, the performance, quality, cost, reliability as one, and the sustainability as the other one. Those are the things I think are most important, and both, we're trying to attack.
Good. Thank you for this perspective in terms of technology. So your career has seen various leadership roles in technology companies, as we mentioned, you mentioned earlier. So what advice do you have for emerging leaders, young people, professionals that are navigating, entering in this landscape of technology industry? What skills or mindset do you believe are the most important, the most transferable and essential for success across diverse industries?
It's a good question. I think, from a point of view of training, I think, thinking back as my engineering studies and whatever, I did a thesis on simulation. So I was doing physics and software and electrical engineering. That in and of itself helped me get a little bit broader perspective maybe than some other kind of research work. But I also think I should have done maybe a little bit more in the systems area, maybe doesn't matter what, but just to have a systems kind of mindset as well. That's something I learned maybe later after school. But those kinds of things, the software, the hardware, and some systems knowledge, if you do it in one area or another, I don't know that it matters. It gives you the right, I think, perspective to kind of handle any technical problem or challenge, within a wide variety of spaces, at least the ones that that I've dealt with. I think the bigger thing is about people, whether it's maybe it's not right for some people, and that's good, but taking a chance. When we all went to school as engineers, we didn't. I don't know that I liked one chapter of a book better than another chapter of a book, right? So go try some things, and I was given a great opportunity. It came out of a challenge, and that was when I was at Lucent Microelectronics, which became Gear Systems and spun out of Lucent. The management team decided to go fabless, and that was something that affected my job. And I'm grateful to this day to the management that gave me the opportunity to lead a business, a choice. Well, you can stay in R&D, but and I took that choice, and I could have gone back to doing process development somewhere else, and it would have been a good experience anyway to have gone through the business and learned. So I think those kinds of things, people should look for them, should take advantage of them. You don't know where the business you're in will go. It'll help you no matter what, even if you decide to go back to it. I think builds you a bigger network of people. And for some people like myself, I find it more fun to try those kinds of things. So I think it's especially true in a startup, because in a startup, you never have enough people to do anything. So for a young manager or even an entry-level engineer, the exposure you get to how the whole business works and your opportunity to affect things is tremendous. I really would encourage people to take advantage of that kind of environment, not just stay in your little silo, but really try and do some other things.
Good. So, Mark, we are in conclusion. My last one, outside of the tech world, beyond job. So, what are your favorite hobbies, activities that help you to find inspiration? So, but in particular, what's next plan for upcoming weekend? Maybe with a good
Well,
wine
we'll see.
drink.
Yeah, that I do like wine. Maybe not so unique, but I like in Italian wine. I like Brunellos and Barolos, of course. Nothing. I like music. I like sports. Nothing unusual. I would say the one change I've made in my life with at least watching sports is I was very dedicated to American baseball when I was young, and played baseball, and then played organized baseball. Then I played in different leagues and things, and followed it. I've almost completely stopped, and I've completely converted over to world football, and in particular a team in the UK in the English Premier League. So that's one of the things that's happened to me over the last 10 or 20 years. Actually, a lot of it has to do with how much you can see now in streaming, online. I think this weekend I'm actually I'm home for the first time in California for a month. And I'm actually so I'm mostly with family given the weather. But one of the things I'm going to do, maybe circle back on my career, I'm going to see my father, who's 88 years old. And he actually was the first generation of semiconductor engineer. So he graduated college in the 50s and went to work right immediately on the tin can transistors. So he was in the industry for 40 years and different roles, and so have some genes of semiconductors anyway.
Good. Thank you, Mark. Thanks a lot for
You're welcome. Your time. It's been a pleasure.
Have a good weekend, and see you next. Thank you.
You too. Yep.